It's a beautiful night in Brooklyn, New York. After 6 consecutive matches away from home, Brooklyn FC will open up Maimonides Park against Fort Lauderdale United FC. Jess Garziano tied for the team lead in goals for Brooklyn. Will play host to Golden Boot leader Addie McCain and Fort Lauderdale United tonight. The winner moves to the top of the USL Super League table. Welcome inside Maimonides Park, Brooklyn, New York. Beautiful Coney Island, where tonight a battle for the top spot in USL Super League's table. Brooklyn FC, first place in the league, welcoming in second place Fort Lauderdale United FC. Alongside former MLS goalkeeper Jeff Antonella, I'm Josh Appel. Thanks so much for spending part of your Saturday with us. And Jeff, when you look at 1 through 4 in the standings here in USL Super League, it is jam-packed.
It is, and as this spring season continues to roll along, teams are starting to pick up steam. And don't take your eyes off of Tampa Bay either. They are a team that is capable of making a run in this spring season and going to look to move up the table. But as you can see in that 1 and 2 spot, it is a big game tonight.
Brooklyn FC has held that top spot for the majority of the season, due in large part to this 8-match unbeaten streak, which was the second longest in the league.
Well, they started the season off very hot and looked like they would be on top of the table for a long, long time, and that's really what they have done. 8 games to start the season, but right now in this spring season, it is a case of what have you done for me lately? And last week, they dropped the largest loss in league history, 6-0 to Dallas, an absolutely shocking result and something that they will be looking to bounce back from versus a very hot Fort Lauderdale team tonight.
Yeah, Brooklyn had only conceded 9 total goals this season before that match. Well, now the longest active unbeaten streak in the league belongs to Fort Lauderdale. Third longest overall, but their last 7, they've been red hot.
They have been red hot, and this is a streak that we talk to the coaches, and they're not talking about it in the locker room, but the fans are talking about it because this is the hottest team in the league right now, and a lot of this comes from the goals that they have been able to score. 13 goals for during this streak, and only 6 goals against, which has been an area of focus for them, which is propelling them on this run up the table.
Well, Jeff, how about this trio? Addie McCain, Jasmine Hamid, Kiara Locklear. They've scored or assisted on 12 of the last 13 goals.
It's no surprise that these 3 are a big part of the reason why Fort Lauderdale has been able to be on this run. Hamid has 4 goals in 4 games. She is absolutely scorching hot when it comes to being in front of the net. And ever since they dropped Addie McCain back to that 9 role, she has been a facilitator. And you talk about selfless. She's leading the Golden Boot race, and they dropped her back to be a facilitator at number 9. And ever since Locklear has come over to the club, she is putting up her numbers and carrying her weight as well.
Should be a fantastic matchup here tonight on Coney Island. A battle for first place in USL Super League. This is the 3rd matchup between these two sides. They split the first 2. What will the rubber match have in store? Lineups and kick are next.
Success doesn't come easy. It takes grit, hustle, and relentless effort. Every step forward brings you closer to greatness. This is your moment. Elevate your game. El Jimador Spiked Bebidas.
We all have goals. But let's be honest. Most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
I said I'd rather be famous instead. You're more than a superstar.
Maimonides Park in Brooklyn, New York. Coney Island the site tonight for Brooklyn FC and Fort Lauderdale United FC, a battle for the top spot in USL Super League. Josh Appel, former MLS goalkeeper, Jeff Antonello with you as we take a look at our starting 11s for tonight. First for head coach Jess Silva and Brooklyn. One change from last week.
Only one change from the 6-0 loss as Rosette number 2 comes to slide in on that right side. And a player tonight that I'm going to be keeping my eye on is number 3, Sam Kroger. She will have to play spectacular tonight to make sure that she is facilitating, but also dealing with that Fort Lauderdale and the way that they like to pass the ball. She's going to need to cut out those passing lanes, so that's something to watch for tonight.
Kroger scored against Fort Lauderdale back in October in Brooklyn's 3-1 victory. Niku Purcell gets the start in goal, her 9th of the season. And for Tyrone Mears and Fort Lauderdale United FC, it's that trio, Hamid, Locklear, and McCain.
It's the one that we've been talking about, and really once Addie McCain dropped back to that 9 role, number 18, look for her to facilitate. But this defense will have to be up to the task too. This is a team that likes to pass the ball in the back, so keep your eye on Jordan, Ansbro, Vaca, and Lindhall. They will have to be very tight on the ball, very clean in their passes, and making sure that they are avoiding that Brooklyn press that is certainly to cause them some problems tonight in their home opener.
They'll be doing it in front of Corsette Morche, who makes her another start in goal for Fort Lauderdale. There's Tyrone Mears on the Fort Lauderdale United bench, 8-5-4 for Fort Lauderdale. We talked to one of his assistants, Ali Rogers, this week. They're very excited about the task at hand here tonight. They know the atmosphere is going to be huge. They know the stakes are huge as well, and so does Jess Silva, who this week told us a lot of soul searching going on in that Brooklyn facility this week.
Well, it's always one of those tricky things when a team that is supposed to win gets beat in that fashion. How will they respond? A 6-0 loss is something that is so uncharacteristic, and how the coach responds to that is do they throw it away and not think of it anymore? Do they obsess over it and make a lot of changes? In this situation, they only made one change, so I think that they think it's a case of one game, let it go, move on to this next big moment.
We are underway for the first time at USL Super League action at Maimonides Park in Coney Island, Brooklyn and Fort Lauderdale. So glad you could be with us tonight. And Jeff, this Brooklyn team 6 consecutive away matches before opening up and playing here for the first time. And we'll see, as you mentioned, how Brooklyn is able to respond. Jess Silva told us she watched that 6-0 defeat to Dallas 4 separate times.
You know, some people like to obsess over those things and watch them back and put themselves through it again, and some people like to throw away the tape. But in this situation, I'm sure it's something where Coach Jess Silva wanted to just see what went wrong tactically, how they can make adjustments, where changes need to be made. And there's something about starting the season on the road. I know when I played with the Portland Timbers, we started on the road for a long time. Some people thrive, some people struggle a little bit, but for Brooklyn, I think it's something that really united this team as a group and something that you've seen contribute to the success they've had this year.
They are 0-2-1. Garziano tied for the team lead with 4 goals, but they've got 5 who put at least 3 into the back of the net this season. They thrive on the collective.
And it's just a testament to the way that they like to play. Very selfless style of play, sharing the ball. It doesn't matter who's in front of the goal. And what we're getting an early look at right now is how will Fort Lauderdale deal with this press? For me, this is going to be the storyline of the night. How do they decide to build up out of this press when you know Brooklyn is going to be throwing numbers forward? Do they stick true to passing the ball, or do they put the ball in over the top?
We know that Brooklyn will be looking for a bounce-back defensive performance tonight. Again, 6 goals conceded against Dallas last week. They had conceded just 9 total in every other game. It's crazy the type of production that Dallas was able to put together last week, and Brooklyn takes a lot of pride in their team defense, and as you mentioned, we'll see how Fort Lauderdale handles it.
It also just speaks to what an outlier one game can be sometimes,
no doubt.
But when you end up looking at the stat sheet at the end of the season, that one's definitely going to jump off the page.
You know, you'd think that given the struggles of late by Brooklyn, that the silver lining would be, hey, they're still at top of the table and a win tonight at home in front of a good crowd, first time playing here. You know, it gives some momentum for them, a little bit of a silver lining, but Jess Silva told us there aren't any silver linings. We don't even talk about where we are on the table. It's about what's in front of us right now. Long ball down the left side. Hamid catches up to it. She's got 4 goals in 4 consecutive games. Fort Lauderdale will have a throw in from there.
And that's a great decision to put that ball in over the top. Like I said, for me, this is what the storyline tonight is all about, is how Fort Lauderdale decides to handle this Brooklyn press.
Hamid battling. Gets it back. Whipped in and cleared away by Kelsey Hill for Brooklyn. Taylor Smith, nobody home for Fort Lauderdale. Now rolls harmlessly to Niku Purcell.
That was a good bit of skill out there out wide to find the overlapping runner. Fort Lauderdale loves to attack with their wings. They love to use their speed on the width. Trying to overload those back defenders for this Brooklyn defense will be something that they try to do for most of the night tonight.
Busy slate of action today in USL Super League. Spokane has taken a 1-0 lead as they try and work their way back into playoff contention. Flag went up there for offside. They got through everybody. Well, that's not what you want to see if you're Fort Lauderdale. That's Leveni Vaca. Leads the team in clearances, an important part of this back line for Fort Lauderdale United. And you can hear the anguish as she clutches her right knee.
Yeah, as we get a look at it here. Oh, just a bit of an awkward landing on that turf. You can tell the discomfort that she's in. Hopefully it's more of a little bit of a scare, but obviously something that's going to have the Fort Lauderdale medical staff paying attention to.
They'll play down a player for the moment. Pickard sends it ahead, but it rolls harmlessly to Morshea. 7-match unbeaten streak for Fort Lauderdale. Scored 9 goals their last 5 matches. Potent offensively. They've only been shut out twice this season. As Vaca is still being looked at right at midfield. Again, thought the flag was going to go up there for offside, but rolls out for a goal kick anyways, so no harm there.
Yeah, Gordon, that's a couple times now. Just needed to be a little bit more mindful of her line. These are good through balls that are getting played in.
So Celia Gaynor will enter for Vaca. A nightmare start for Fort Lauderdale, losing one of their top defenders. There's the official substitution. Gaynor comes in. Michigan State alum. It's her 15th appearance. She's made 13 starts. She's no stranger to game action, but Vaca leaves such a huge void now for Fort Lauderdale. How do they regroup?
Well, this is a big storyline of the game because even though Gaynor has all this experience, when you're coming in off the bench 6 minutes into a game, it's something that you're not really expecting. You haven't had the opportunity to warm up, especially when you're coming in off of an injury. So she's going to just need to try to slow her heart rate down, try to adapt to this game speed. Vaca's a big hole for sure, but Gaynor has that experience where I'm sure the rest of the back line feels extremely comfortable with her sliding in. It's just more about how quickly Gaynor can step up and get herself adapted to the speed of the game.
Brooklyn will throw in. Shot on, and it's Purcell who's able to corral that on the shot by Shania Gordon.
Again, it's Gordon finding space in between those lines. Able to get a good hit on it, but Purcell up to the task. He does a good job holding onto the ball on a night like tonight where the weather could be an element.
Yeah, the rain is coming down a little bit here in Brooklyn, but still a great crowd Maimonides Park, first time Brooklyn FC is playing here this season, and Jess Silva talked about how excited the squad was. They've been looking forward to this all fall. As Fort Lauderdale wanted a foul there, McCain took a spill. The play continues. Irina Petronic is our referee. Zeno Cho, Laura Chambers-Waliski, the assistant referees, and our fourth official is Stern Bream. Flicked on. Smith trying to get there and can't. And cleared away by Purcell.
I like what I'm seeing so far from Fort Lauderdale early in this one. Really up to the moment, and that was something that we talked about on the coaches call. They were going to try and bring the fight to this Brooklyn team. They know that Brooklyn lost that game 6-0. They know that it's the home opener, but they weren't shying away from this moment in this 1-2 matchup. And so far, you're seeing a confident team.
Good ball ahead, but the flag went up. More set. Was offside, excuse me. Brooklyn was offside there. Samantha Rosette. DC has just tied up Spokane. The 50th minute in that match. Ten minutes in here. Ivani Vaca has left for Fort Lauderdale with an injury. Celia Gaynor, who has it now, came in to replace her. Battle for the top spot in the USL Super League. Brooklyn 3 points clear of both Fort Lauderdale and Carolina, but a win by Fort Lauderdale tonight would put them in that top spot. Settled down by Kroger. To the outside, George. Was looking in the direction of Rosette, but unable to connect.
Yeah, Brooklyn really not able to find that early rhythm in this game yet. Fort Lauderdale doing a good job on the ball, but also doing a good job defensively, not letting them easy, not letting Brooklyn connect these passes.
Jeff, I know it's easy to say, you flush out the previous result, you try not to think about it, but as someone who has been out there in these shoes before, how difficult is it as a player to kind of not think about what happened the week prior?
Well, you move on from the game, but then really it's about the flow of the next game. If Fort Lauderdale is able to get 1 goal in, 2 goals in, that's when that doubt really starts to creep in. But Brooklyn's a mature team. They're going to be able to drop that game and realize that that was just one game and one of those outliers. But when it really starts to creep in is how this game goes, how the flow goes. So that's why it's so important. Hot starts.
That now catching up to it, working against Adrian Jordan in that corner. And the whistle blows. They got Fort Lauderdale for a foul there, so free kick coming for Brooklyn.
And on a night like tonight, I think it's important. These are spectacular chances for a team like Brooklyn. The weather isn't great. You can dump the ball into the box, create those different chances. So anytime you get a chance like this against a team like Fort Lauderdale, it's all about making the most of it. And this is a dangerous area where you could really whip that ball in, maybe play this ball wide, connect some 1-2 passes, and try to dictate this game a little bit from set pieces as well.
Pluck. Service in. Easily handled by Morshea. Select the official match ball supplier of the USL Super League and many elite leagues throughout Europe. Visit us.select-sport.com for the latest Select products, specials, and more. Select, the player's choice. We'll talk about that Dallas match last week already a lot in the first 13 minutes of this match, and obviously Brooklyn does not want to look ahead, but right here on this field next week they have a shot at redemption.
And that's something they're going to be looking forward to. This is obviously a big matchup. See the ball getting out wide here. This is obviously a big matchup that they're very focused on, but I'm sure once they see Dallas on the schedule up next, it's something that they'll be very aware of, trying to get that revenge game. But I'm sure all their focus is on this match right here. 1-2 matchup, how could it not be?
No doubt about it. They're still trying to find the win column for the first time in the spring, 0-2-1. They've only scored 1 goal in their last 3 matches.
And for me, that's where the doubt starts to come in. It's not necessarily about that one result, but when you start stacking them up, when you're thinking about how hot Brooklyn was during that fall season and how they've started this spring season after that long layoff, that's when you start thinking about, okay, what's been going on with the group? How do we get this adjusted? Is it tactical changes? Is it lineup changes? And these are the types of things where coaches have to start making decisions if something like this continues. And that's why I think this game versus Fort Lauderdale is just a massive opportunity for them. You get a result in a game like this against a number 2 team, you kind of stake your ground in there and say, you know what, we're back for this spring season.
Fort Lauderdale having some trouble at the moment. Now they reset. Hansbrough, who has been such a nice addition to this Fort Lauderdale team, was on the February Team of the Month. Played in the National Championship with Wake Forest. With the fewest goals in team history, and she was a big part of that Wake Forest group that was able to achieve that. And a welcome addition to this Fort Lauderdale group, who's already very good defensively.
And this is something that Fort Lauderdale does really well. They like to include that goalkeeper. You have to be good with your feet if you're going to play in this system.
Shania Gordon trying to make a run. Locklear as well. Purcell calm and cool, able to handle it. What's the mindset of a goalkeeper after a match like last week? Coming back home, facing a potent offense. You just gave up 6. Take us into the mind of a goalkeeper.
Well, it really depends on the type of goals that are being scored, if I'm being honest. You know, there's been games where I've gotten blown out in and I made some of the biggest saves and some of the best saves I've ever had in my career. So, especially as a goalkeeper, you give up 6. It's one of those things where you know that it's not all on you. You know that there were clearly team breakdowns that went throughout the process, and if you're able to make a couple saves, it's just all about getting into this next game and, you know, trying to reprove to yourself that you can keep goals out of the net. And you know, Purcell does a great job on that one save. The ball skips into the turf. I know it looks easy to the eyes of fans when the ball is hit right at you, but on a wet night on turf, first shot you're dealing with, to catch that clean, that's something that's going to really start just building that confidence back in, and that's really what it's all about.
Talk about this turf and the weather that the players are dealing with right now. Turf obviously very different than natural grass. Then you add the moisture to it. Well, it could take some funny bounces.
Yeah, and the ball comes a lot quicker and it's a lot slicker. So, you know, from a goalkeeper perspective, you just have to make sure that you're watching even those easy saves, you're making sure you're watching them all the way into your body and securing the ball.
Gordon on the turn. Gordon too heavy of a touch. And Hill lets it roll out for a goal kick. And Gordon, you can see a bit frustrated.
Yeah, it's the right idea there. She does a great job of turning that defender, and she has nothing but space in front of her. And that's what we talk about with this turf. We just talked about it. You got to make sure that your touches are a little bit tighter to your body, because something like that, the ball can skip away when there's a good opportunity on goal for Gordon. But we spoke about it earlier, using the width. Fort Lauderdale loves to use those wingers, and those wingers will go at you 1v1. They'll beat you with speed, they'll beat you with skill. So if you're Brooklyn, you just got to be aware that they're capable of doing just about anything out there.
Fort Lauderdale feel like has had the ball the majority of this first 17 minutes in this first half, and statistically that's kind of how it plays out for both sides. Fort Lauderdale averages 55% of the possession, Brooklyn under 50%, and that's kind of what we've seen in this first half so far. A lot of Fort Lauderdale with the ball. Here's Gordon, slides it across, and it's deflected out wide for a corner. Locklear and Hamid were in the area.
We're seeing a lot of Gordon so far in this first half, and that's really just a good run and a good 1-2 combination as we see the ball get out wide. Look at this run from Gordon. She recognizes the space. It's a perfectly weighted ball by Lindhall. She's able to pick her head up, drive a dangerous ball in, and force the Brooklyn defense to make a play. If you're Fort Lauderdale, you would have loved to get one of those runners to that near post to get a little bit of a flick, but again, it's Gordon doing the work out wide and getting the ball into the box.
Now Brooklyn trying to counter things, and well played by Fort Lauderdale. Taylor Smith, and Addie McCain, Golden Boot leader.
That's too easy for a player like Addie McCain. You can't let her turn in the midfield like that.
Hamid runs into a wall. Now Wall's name is Sam Kroger. So important to this group. She's played every minute of every match this season for Brooklyn. One of 3 players on the pitch right now who have played in every minute this year. Pantuso.
Yeah, and I said in the open, I said in the lineup read that she was going to have to play a spectacular game tonight, and that's exactly why. Once Addie McCain gets that ball in the midfield, if she's not on her back, if she's not able to cut her out from making those turns, making those patches from side to side, then Fort Lauderdale is able to open it up, and Brooklyn's not able to press it the way that they want to. So a big game from her tonight is key for Brooklyn to find success.
Yeah, Kelsey Hill, Ali Pantuso, Sam Kroger, that trio every minute, every match so far this season. Pickard sends it in, header not enough pace, and it's scooped up easily by Morshea, who has not really been tested yet, really neither goalkeeper. Despite all the possession from Fort Lauderdale, they haven't really produced a quality opportunity yet.
Yeah, not a bad idea there from Brooklyn either, just trying to get the ball into the box and seeing if they can create a little bit of chaos. I've been really impressed with here right now. Fort Lauderdale's doing a good job in possession, and Brooklyn's dropping back a little bit more than they're used to. I would have expected them to come out flying and pressing, especially in their home opener on a rainy night. But I think it's Fort Lauderdale's ability to possess the ball that has them sitting back a little bit more, trying to be a little bit more secure in the box. And that's why you're seeing Fort Lauderdale hitting these long balls over the top that they're not usually accustomed to doing. Normally they want to pass the ball on the ground and play side to side, but because Brooklyn's not stepping out and pressing as high as they normally do, it's forcing Fort Lauderdale to do something different. Nice little tactical matchup there.
That one slides past Pantuso and out of the near side. Sasha Pickard with space and plenty of it. Pickard into the middle now, fired on from distance by Grabius and got blocked. Smith trying to defend on Pluck, now sent to the outside. Rosette, the cross in, the header. Garziano nearly had her 5th, but Morshea, good positioning, able to handle it.
Oh, Garziano would want to get that one back. It is an absolute spectacular ball from out wide that's played into the box. It looked like Garziano had position on the defender, just not able to redirect that header. Morshea does a good job of holding on.
Morshea made a couple of big saves last week in the 1-1 draw against Tampa Bay for Fort Lauderdale, but a frustrating result for them. It's the second time against Tampa Bay this season that they've had the lead, they've conceded the equalizing goal, and have had to settle for a draw. Joining us, Laveni Vaca for Fort Lauderdale. Left in the first few minutes of the match. It looked like a knee injury. Celia Gaynor came in to replace her. After the turnover, here comes Brooklyn. Sheriff through the middle, from distance has a hit. And you see that wet turf maybe wreaking a little havoc on Morshea. Had some trouble handling that one. Now Garziano. Turned it over.
Well, that was a great counter-attacking opportunity there from Brooklyn.
Ooh, dangerous tackle. Play continues.
They're able to turn the ball over and attack with pace, something that we hadn't seen yet. Fort Lauderdale stepped out. Their defense is a little bit spread, and you get that shot from about 20 out. We just talked about how difficult the turf can be for these goalkeepers, and you get a good look at it there. But credit to Morshea, able to keep the ball out.
It's one of those, it's the old adage, you know, put the ball into a dangerous area, a good thing might happen, especially on a night like tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. On a night like tonight, you should be shooting the ball. If you have an opportunity to hit the ball from 20 out or so and you feel comfortable, you should be taking your chances. Hit the ball off the ground, try to skip it, make life difficult for that goalkeeper.
Addie McCain, quick touch, had it taken away from her. She's been quiet in this first half so far. And I asked Jess Silva this week, you know, how do you contain this trio of Locklear, Hamid and Addie McCain. She said, look, they have great players, obviously. We have great defenders. But Jeff, if you were Jess Silva, how would you try and contain that trio?
Well,
if you even can.
For me, it's all about communication, because the trio of Fort Lauderdale, they interchange so much, and they're always constantly moving, and they're very comfortable filling into those different roles and making runs in behind the other attacking player. It's very fluid movement. So for me, the focus would be on constant communication and always being aware of where they are and making sure you're either passing on the runners or following that runner into space to make sure that you know that that player is covered, and you're not sticking to just following the positions because they're so interchangeable. And then a lot of that comes too with making sure that McCain doesn't have an easy night. You need to clog up the midfield and make sure she's not getting on the ball, because those three get unlocked when she's able to facilitate.
There's Hamid, leaves it for McCain. Out on the wing it comes for Gordon, but she was offside. And you know, Kiara Locklear, the most recent addition to this trio, it leads the team in assists. She was the Atlantic Sun Player of the Year in 2024, and Allie Rogers, assistant coach for Fort Lauderdale, told us that she was a player that they had identified as a staff and they really wanted to get. They've been in contact with her, and after the season, they got the exact player they were looking for, and you know, it unlocked something they were really missing, and it gave Addie McCain a chance to play her normal position.
Well, when you have a traditional number 9, it allows you to do so many different things because you have that player that can hold the ball, you have that big target. That unlocks your wingers. That gives you the ability to drop your false 9, McCain, back to the midfield where she feels a little bit more comfortable. And it just gives the defense something else that they have to focus on that they didn't have before.
Gainer, Grabius watching her. Every Wednesday, listen to USL Super League Game Week, a deep dive into all things Super League with hosts Marion Crowder and Anna Whitty. Follow along all season on the Sirius XM app. Great show this week from those two. Talk quite a bit about this matchup tonight, which is going to determine who exits the weekend in first place in the league. Brooklyn, of course, in the top spot at the moment. Fort Lauderdale with a chance to grab it from them.
Well, it's definitely a matchup that fans have circled on their calendar.
Both these teams as well.
Yeah, Brooklyn trying to right the ship. Fort Lauderdale, the hottest team in the league.
Grabius, physical play. Delaney Lindahl. She gets called for the foul.
Yeah, I think just a little bit too aggressive here. If you see those hands to the back, and it's that push right there that draws the foul. Once you get that arm extended, it's going to be an easy call there for the referee. And again, it's another set piece in a great spot on the field. Try to get this ball into the box, create a little bit of chaos.
Pluck and Kroger stand over it. It's Pluck who will take it. Good ball in, punched out, sitting there, fired high. It was on a platter for Brooklyn. Second real chance they've had tonight. And it goes for naught. It's just a goal kick and a frustrating end to that chance.
Well, it's a great ball in, and it forces Morshea. She just tries to come off of her line, and she is way out of her line in that situation. You could tell that her starting position might have been forcing her to go and try to get that ball, unable to get a hold of it, and a missed opportunity there from Brooklyn as the ball is just sitting there. But there's a lot of traffic in front, which forces the player to hit it a little bit high. Morshea definitely catches a break there. I don't mind the brave goalkeeping. I don't mind coming off your line trying to gather crosses, but if you're going to come that high, you need to make sure you're able to get a good punch or gather it in.
The 28th minute here in the first half. Top two teams in the league going at it. They split the first two meetings back in the fall. This is the third time they've matched up. A 1-0 win for Fort Lauderdale in early October. Brooklyn avenged that with a 3-1 win later on in that month. They're just pouring it on both sides in that Spokane DC match right now. They're square at 2 apiece in the 73rd minute. Carolina, Tampa Bay kickoff in about an hour. Spokane DC, the other match, going on head-to-head with this one. Garziano gets it started to the outside. Gravius lost it, well defended by Fort Lauderdale, and they're away with it.
And as this game started to go along a little bit, Brooklyn setting back a little bit more, forcing Fort Lauderdale to play these passes, doing a good job of turning them over and trying to catch them on the counterattack. It's taken a little bit of time for Brooklyn to really get rolling in this game and feeling the rhythm of it, but as it's gone on, they've done a good job of weathering the storm, no pun intended, with the weather that's outside, and building themselves into this game with a little bit of confidence in these turnovers.
Lindahl to throw in. Might have been a handball, but play continues. Locklear trying to give chase, but it's Pantuso who's able to shield her off and allow Purcell to handle it. Good crowd here on Coney Island. First match for Brooklyn FC in Maimonides Park. First match for Brooklyn in this facility. It's a Brooklyn team that finished the fall slate. 3-0 win against Lexington, a 1-0 win against Dallas, but they are 0-2-1 since the start of the spring. Trying to get back on the right foot today on a big night for them here in Coney Island. Sheriff for Pluck.
Oh, you got to clear that ball in front of her.
Mackenzie George. Hamid watching her. George has it deflected by Hamid and then headed away for the moment. Brooklyn able to chase it down. George again. The Tennessee alum. She's already equaled her goal total from what she had last year. She's playing in Iceland. She's got 3 on the season, 1 of 5 for Brooklyn that have scored at least 3 times. So goal kick comes now for Cassette Morche. Daria Raji ready to put it back in play. Flicked on. Fort Lauderdale keeps it alive. Shania Gordon gets Fort Lauderdale on the board. In this battle for first place, it's the away side who has the advantage here in the first half.
That is Gordon's 2nd goal on the season, and the way she has been playing this first half, it is absolutely rewarding that hard work. As we get another look at it here, it's a set piece that the ball comes in, and it is a bouncing ball that Gordon's able to get a little touch on it with a nice deflection, and look at that rocket. That is a spectacular finish. A little bit of luck here with the deflection. This is what I talk about, put the ball in the box and sometimes good things happen. Falls to her, able to turn and hit an absolute rocket past the goalkeeper.
Said Jeff, the second of the season for Gordon. She's near the top of the league in shots. It's the second that's found its way past the keeper. And now Fort Lauderdale, which has played very well in this half, now has the lead. But Brooklyn turns him over, and a foul given. Mackenzie George whistled for it. Gordon leads the league in shots with 32, and our most recent one has given the away side the lead.
I mean, that is textbook how you hit a volley. You have a bouncing ball like that. Keep your body over the ball. Put your foot all the way through it. Don't be afraid to hit it with that pace. And even though it was directed towards the goalkeeper personal, there's not much she can do with the ball from that distance off of a volley. And again, that's reward for the work that Gordon's done tonight. She's been the best player on the field for Fort Lauderdale, causing havoc in the back line. And when you put yourself in good situations like that, usually good things happen for you.
And now what do you think the mindset is for Brooklyn after last week? They've kind of weathered the storm the first half hour, but now they find themselves down 1-0.
Yeah, just a little bit of adversity here, and it's a shame for Brooklyn because I really felt like they were starting to build themselves into this game, and it comes off of a set piece and the ball is just bouncing around. You would have loved to get that ball cleared out, but unfortunately it wasn't meant to be. But for Brooklyn now, it's just time to regroup, get your bodies back behind the ball. Remember to stay disciplined, but try to keep that momentum that you were able to build before that goal got scored.
Rosette with a chance, plays it out in front, and Sheriff couldn't get it on target.
And that's a great response there. You would have loved to see that shot at least get on target, but it's a good ball in over the top onto the runners. We get another look at it here. It's a great flick into space. It's a good opportunity. Opts to cut it back. She had the space there in the middle. She could have gone for the shot, but she opts to cut it back, and it's a good recovery defending play by Fort Lauderdale here.
Yeah, Adrian Jordan coming in from behind. Sheriff might have felt those footsteps.
Causing a little bit of pressure there, but that's a great response from Brooklyn. You give up that goal, you've been building yourself into the game, and then you immediately get yourself an opportunity in front of the net. So for them, it's just all about trying to continue this momentum that they've been having.
And again, hate to keep hammering it home, but this is now the fourth match in the spring. 35 minutes in, and Brooklyn in these 3+ matches have just one goal. Plenty of time, though, of course, to find that equalizer tonight.
Well, this is why that break between the fall season and the spring season means so much. It gives teams a chance to kind of reset. You have a better understanding of the teams that you're facing in this league, and then you're able to make those different tactical adjustments, adjust your team the way that you think it's best fit for how you're going to look in that spring season going forward. And listen, Brooklyn was the best team in the league. I'm not saying that you know, they can't turn around what's going on right now in this game and this opportunity. For Lauderdale's a very good team. But when you're the best team in the league, teams are going to keep an eye on you and scout you and make sure that they have a better understanding of how to play against you going into this spring season. And that's been the case for Brooklyn. But now it's up to Brooklyn. They have the good players, they have the good staff to start unlocking the other teams and trying to figure it out.
Yeah, that's the thing, Jeff, is that, you know, you become that first place team. Now you've got that target on your back, and it's how you handle it. And, you know, Fort Lauderdale has a chance to kind of flip that script and become the team that everybody's chasing if they can come away with 3 points here tonight.
Well, that's the issue, right? You don't talk about being number one in the standings, but everybody else is talking about you being number one in the standings, and it just puts that immediate target on their back.
Yeah, Jess Silva, you know, I kind of embarrassed myself when I asked the question as Jordan comes in. George holds her off. Brooklyn with the clear. I asked Jess, I was like, Coach Silva, all this has gone on. You guys have been struggling, and yet at the end of the day, you've got a home match coming up, and you're still in first place. Is that the kind of silver lining you guys look at? And she said, after I said I was sure that was something she had communicated to her team, she said, no, we don't even talk about the table.
It's funny, on the coach's call 2 weeks ago, I asked this exact same question as well, trying to get her to take the bait. But, you know, it's a team that's very focused on that day-to-day progression and trying to get a little bit better every day. And to be honest, this is the first little bit of adversity that we've seen this Brooklyn team face. So how you respond to adversity, it's going to happen throughout the course of a season. So how you respond to adversity tells you a lot about your team, This is the first bit of it they're facing, so it's really their first experience of dealing with it. So it's just something that you go through the course of the season, because it's not always just going to be roses.
And from a Brooklyn perspective, you don't want to go through one of these stretches, but if you do, you'd much prefer it to be now and not towards the end leading into the postseason.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of having a good start to the season, because you set yourself up in a good spot where you can go through a dry spell like that. And to your point, you want to be playing your best soccer when it matters the most, which is at the end of the season. And we have no idea who's going to be doing that in this spring season. There's still a lot of soccer to play. So it's a good time for them to deal with adversity, because adversity is something that you're going to face, whether it's in the regular season, whether it's in the playoffs. And like you said, this is a good time for them to be going through it and working on how to try to figure out how to unlock these different teams.
By the way, just a note on the goal by Shania Gordon, Kiara Locklear with another assist. She now has 4. Dangerous tackle on that far side by Hamid. She gets the whistle. No card shown, just the foul.
Yeah, Hamid doing a good job in that recovery defense, but opts to leave her feet. Clear foul, easy call there for the referee. And again, it's another set piece opportunity here for Brooklyn, where if I'm them, I'm trying to figure out ways to get this ball into the box.
Long from distance from Kroger, never got all the way through, but so with that Locklear assist, it's now 13 of the last 14 goals that one of the 3 of Locklear, Hamid, or McCain has contributed to. Flag was up there for offside on Locklear.
Or just talks to how busy that they've been as a front 3 up top and making sure you're always around the ball and always around the play. That wasn't the pretty assist. There wasn't the pretty assist that you're used to seeing, more of a little bit of a deflection, but when you're around the ball and you're buzzing like that, good things are going to happen for you.
I mean, this is just Locklear's 6th game, and she's already got 7 goal contributions. What an addition she has been for Tyrone Mears and this Fort Lauderdale United club.
And something that can't be understated is the importance of what something like that does to the locker room. Whenever a team makes a player addition, you're always sitting there, especially at midseason, you're always sitting there and you're wondering, oh, I wonder how this is going to be. I wonder how this player is going to fit into the group. And when that player comes in and steps the group up to that next level, it just brings that confidence from the group that they didn't have before that player arrived. So for her to be contributing in this fashion, I can't even tell you how much that impacts the locker room and the confidence that radiates from that.
Certainly giving Fort Lauderdale a massive boost.
And it makes the GM look good.
And by the way, that's now 8 straight games with at least 1 goal scored by Fort Lauderdale. It's now broken their own record for most consecutive games with a goal, as Brooklyn forces the turnover here, trying to level this match. And if the Brooklyn Cyclones were playing a match here tonight, or a game here tonight, that'd have been over the fence for a home run. But for our purposes, that's just going to be a goal kick for Fort Lauderdale.
And that's been a theme of the night tonight as well, because they're able to turn that ball over and try to get that transitional play, but just not able to get that final pass or that shot on goal.
By the way, as far as consecutive goals, consecutive games scoring a goal as a team, Lexington had also gone 7 in a row earlier this season, so Fort Lauderdale's 8 in a row with the goal tonight. It's now a league record. This is Gaynor, who came on in the 7th minute for Leveni Vaca, who left with a knee injury. We've not received an update on her yet. If we do, we will certainly pass it along. Fort Lauderdale has held up well. Gaynor, as we mentioned when she entered the match, has played plenty this year. 13 starts, now her 15th appearance, but as you mentioned at the time, Jeff, just coming on that early, it's not like you've had time to get warmed up before you get subbed in like you normally would, so she's held up well. It's coming in cold.
Well, especially center backs. That's not a unlucky good ball over the top there from Gaynor, who we're talking about right now, but especially for center backs, you're not expecting as a center back to get subbed into the game, usually until a little bit later, where maybe you're trying to ride something out or you know, it's a certain situation. So that's not a position that you're really expecting to have to come in this early in the process in a game. But credit to her, she's done a good job. She's settled in nicely and built herself into this game and kind of used those first 10 minutes as her own bit of warm-up and, you know, really settled into this back line pretty seamlessly.
Dangerous pass, almost got taken away. Gordon somehow wasn't off there. Locklear went down, and it just rolled harmlessly to Purcell.
Yeah, I think Gordon left it there. She heard Locklear. I could hear it on the microphone saying, leave it, leave it. So it's good communication there.
Given away, here's Fort Lauderdale. Hamid from distance takes a hit, and it's right into the arms of Purcell. Brooklyn FC's next home match is right around the corner. You can scan the QR code to win free tickets to watch Brooklyn take on Dallas Trinity FC this Wednesday, March 19th, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, right here at Maimonides Park. Again, Jeff, it's something we talked about earlier, a chance at redemption for Brooklyn after last week's 6-0 defeat. But we've got about a minute plus added time left in this first half, and then the second half to at least get some kind of result here tonight before even thinking about that Dallas rematch. Gordon, who has the goal in the 32nd minute. Watched by Pickard. That took a deflection off of Pickard, so this should be a corner. Nope.
Get used to this stadium, get comfortable playing in this environment. So there are a lot of different things that Brooklyn's dealing with to start this spring season that they haven't necessarily been used to. And, you know, us athletes, it's just all about finding rhythm and trying to find that comfortability.
It almost feels like if Brooklyn can just get one, it might make them feel better a bit. Kind of open the floodgates. Here's Addie McCain. She takes a chance. And just sent it a bit high. The Golden Boot leader, 9 goals this season. Been relatively quiet in this first half, but Jeff, it's something that you mentioned earlier. You want to see more players on the pitch tonight take those shots from deep.
Yeah, don't be afraid to take those opportunities. It's a tough night. The surface is a little bit difficult for goalkeepers. If you have the opportunity, give it a go.
1 minute of added time, as you saw, indicated by the fourth official.
To your point earlier, I think like you were saying, if Brooklyn's able to get a goal, it's just exhale. Everybody takes that big breath and relaxes and remembers what it's like to see the ball hit in the back of the net. But, you know, as the minutes continue to tick on, you know, finding that big exhale gets a little bit harder and a little bit harder. But, you know, this is a well-coached team, so I'm sure they'll be able to regroup here at halftime.
Just 1 goal in the first 3.5 matches here, including this one of the spring season. And there is the whistle for halftime here on Coney Island. A goal in the 32nd minute by Shania Gordon on the assist from Kiara Locklear has Fort Lauderdale in front 1-0 in this battle for first place atop the USL Super League table.
I think that Brooklyn, they did a good job to settling in, but credit to Fort Lauderdale. From the start of the game, they had a plan, they had an attack, and then they were a little bit fortunate to find that goal, bouncing ball, but it's an absolute rocket by Gordon. And I really think that's actually been a pretty back and forth match. Brooklyn's had their chances. They weren't able to put on frame. Fort Lauderdale was able to get their 1 or 2 shots on target and force the goalkeeper into a save. So I'm expecting a second half that's going to have a lot of fireworks.
So we're joined now by the goal scorer here in the first half, Shania Gordon of Fort Lauderdale United FC. Shania, just take us through that goal, what you saw, and how you were able to finish.
It was just hard work from my teammates. It was scrappy, but we ended up winning it, and then I just tucked it away.
What are some adjustments that you think you'll see it the second half, as you know Brooklyn's going to make adjustments of their own? What's something you'd like to see a little bit more from your team right now?
Just a little bit of composure. I think we're a little bit frantic sometimes. If we can just play our game and have composure, complete some passes, then we can find success.
Shania Gordon, the goal scorer in the 32nd minute here in the first half. Thanks for your time and good luck the rest of the way tonight.
Thank you.
1-0 to Fort Lauderdale United FC in this battle for first place in rainy Coney Island. Morshea with a big save in the first half, but Gordon has the lone goal. What a hit in the 32nd minute. Back with more at halftime after this.
Easy. It takes grit, hustle, and relentless effort. Every step forward brings you closer to greatness. This is your moment. Elevate your game. El Jimador Spiked Bebidas.
Four-minute defending. Ramirez is in behind the keeper and scores!
Marley Canal is with the cross. Richardson tapped home.
Bedoya launches and tucks it into the top right-hand corner. Whoa! Say, man! By Alpizi.
We all have goals. But let's be honest. Most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
Pain doesn't care who you are or why you hurt, but pain can be mastered if you know the way. Fight back with Tiger Balm's legendary herbal power. Trusted for over 100 years, our proven blend of camphor, menthol, and essential oils tames pain with the strength and speed of the tiger, so that you can rise above pain and get back to living. This is the way of the tiger.
The two most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why.
Yeah, trick. I said what I said. I don't care. I paint the town red.
If you can survive this, it's going to make the whole story that much better.
The bright horses are broken free from the fields.
Welcome back to Brooklyn, this battle for first place. It's Fort Lauderdale United on the heels of a 32nd minute goal by Shania Gordon. 1-0 lead at the half. Josh Raffel, former MLS goalkeeper Jeff Attinella with you. And as we take a look at some news and notes around USL Super League, Jasmine Hamid, back-to-back player of the month. First player to do that in league history. She scored in each of the last 4 games. Anything else stand out to you here?
Yeah, well, we're talking about the result last week as well. We've been mentioning it throughout the broadcast, but that 6-0 rout snapped that eight-match unbeaten streak, and it was the largest win that we've seen in league history. And, of course, we love ourselves some goalkeepers, at least I do. And then we had the clean sheet crew from Dallas, as Madison White is able to get a clean sheet, and she has tied Megan McClellan for first in the league with 6 clean sheets, so congratulations to Madison and the goalkeeper union.
We love goalkeepers. We also love USL Super League Game Week. Every Wednesday, listen to USL Super League Game Week. It's a deep dive into all things Super League.
You learned about my worst mistakes operating a motor vehicle this week and exactly how one club's response could lead them to chasing a trophy.
Yes, please heed that warning from Marion. I am begging. Plus, the kids are all right in D.C., the State of the Union for the D.C. Power, and what we can expect for them the rest of the spring.
And 1-0 to Fort Lauderdale over Brooklyn at the half. We'll be back with our first half stats and highlights in rainy Brooklyn after this. Welcome back to rainy Coney Island. Comedies Park. First time Brooklyn's played here this year. Their opener. But they're down 1-0 at the half to Fort Lauderdale. The winner of this will move atop the USL Super League standings. Josh Appel, Jeff Antonella with you as we take a look at our first half highlights.
Well, it really was a game that I thought didn't have too many swings. It was pretty steadily played, but Brooklyn did have these different opportunities inside the box that they have not been able to capitalize on. It's a good ball into the box. Graziano here not able to redirect it. And this was really the best chance that we saw from Brooklyn. They had a couple different opportunities with the ball dropped in front of them, not able to get the ball into the net. But here we look at again at the golazo that we had here from Gordon. It's a little bit of a skippy ball on a wet night. She's able to turn, and there it is again. Just an absolute rocket. Textbook hit when you're talking about a volley. Able to keep her chest down, stay over the ball, and drill it past the goalkeeper Purcell. Let's get one more look at it here. A little bit fortunate there, but an absolute knuckler ball that the goalkeeper can do nothing about. And in this back and forth game that's been pretty evenly played the way that I've seen it, it's 1-0 game so far. As we get one more look here, the ball dumped into the box. Good flick on, a good play in the space, but great recovery defending here from Fort Lauderdale. As you see the opportunities there, the players there, but it's that little bit of back pressure that makes it so Brooklyn cannot get that shot on target.
7 matches in a row for Fort Lauderdale. They're unbeaten. Can they finish it off in the final 45 minutes here on Coney Island? They have a 1-0 lead at the half. This battle for first place and the unbeaten streak is on the line. Almost ready to start this second half here from Brooklyn. It's 1-0 to Fort Lauderdale as you get a look at Addie McCain wearing the captain's armband for Fort Lauderdale, leader in the Golden Boot race in USL Super League, but her teammate Jasmine Hamid only a couple behind her, Allie Thornton for Dallas there in second.
As we get a look at it here, Hamid has been on a tear of late, which has seen her lead her way up to this Golden Boot race in McCain. Ever since she's dropped back into that number 9, people are starting to catch up a little bit, but still a lot of season left. We have a couple of players from Tampa as well that are moving their way up the charts, and it's always something fun to keep your eye on when you're talking about goals being scored.
Locklear had one of the more, I guess you could call it, effortless assists in the first half off a deflection on Shania Gordon's goal. So Locklear has kept that trio of McCain, Locklear, and Hamid as far as getting on the score sheet, but overall, Addie McCain a bit quiet in that first half.
Yeah, I thought that Brooklyn did a good job of making sure she didn't have a lot of time on the ball, and you know, Fort Lauderdale hasn't really had that much time on the ball to get into the rhythm that you usually like to see them play. They're a team that they lead the league in passes. They like to really break you down with their passing, but tonight it's been a lot of balls in over the top, and you know, credit that to Brooklyn for making sure that they've been able to force Fort Lauderdale to play a way that they're not used to playing.
Settled down by Hamid. Jordan. Turned over. Looks like some puddles have kind of developed a bit on this playing surface because of the rain that has picked up as the night has continued. We'll see how much of an effect that has on the play tonight. Pantuso will put it back in play. What do you think Jess Silva said to her team at halftime?
I think they said to make sure you keep your composure. You know that they made some types of tactical adjustments, but I really think when you're talking about the game that, you know, Brooklyn did a good job of not letting Fort Lauderdale get comfortable in their possession, and that's really what they like to do, and those are like the types of adjustments that they like to play. So if you're Brooklyn, I think it's trying to calm the nerves down. If you're Jess Silva, calm your nerves down. Make sure that we're in a good spot. We had good opportunities. We were dictating the game at certain points. We were able to turn Fort Lauderdale over and attack, or get them on the counterattack. So really it's just about getting those opportunities in front of that and putting them on goal.
Fort Lauderdale in a dangerous spot, puts it on goal, and it's corralled by Purcell. Now Brooklyn threatening in front, and the shot was blocked. Comes out now for a corner. I believe this is the first of the match for Brooklyn. Mackenzie Pluck will do the honors as Brooklyn tries to find the equalizer, just underway here in the second half. Home opener of the spring season for Brooklyn FC. 31 points, 3 points clear of Fort Lauderdale at the top of the USL Super League standings.
And again, we talked about these set piece opportunities. Get the ball into the box here if you're Brooklyn.
Here comes the corner, and it's unable to be played by anybody.
Not able to make the most of it. But they've had these opportunities for set pieces in dangerous spots. And when you're a team like Brooklyn, who, you know, you're coming off that loss, the stretch of games hasn't been what you wanted it to be, set pieces are a way to get yourself back into it and start to regain that confidence if you're able to get one in the back of the net.
Goal scoring has been at a premium for Brooklyn. Just one in the last 3.5 matches, including tonight. They're 0-2-1. They've got a 1-1 draw, a 0-0 draw, and a 6-0 defeat last week to Dallas in their 3 matches leading into this one in the spring season. Garziano tied for the team lead with 4 goals. Here's George with space on that right side. George, her cross was deflected over the goal line, and it will be another corner.
That's a great ball and a great switch of play there from Garziano. She sees the space across the field. I wasn't sure she was going to come this way, but she absolutely plays a beautiful ball across, and then George does the rest to be able, again, another dangerous set piece. They've been able to get these tonight. Try to put this one into a dangerous spot.
Kenzie Pluck is right there, but it'll be her who takes the corner. Here comes towards the front post, nobody home in black, and Fort Lauderdale is on the counter right away. Hamid, make that Gordon. She has the goal. Wanted a foul, gets the foul. So I asked you what Jess Silva might have said to her Brooklyn side. What about Tyrone Mears? What do you think he was telling Fort Lauderdale during the half?
Play with a little bit more confidence in that possession, because you know that that's how they want to play. I know that they make tactical adjustments based off the way that Brooklyn played them, but just continue to stay confident in this possession. The ball, it's a slick surface. The ball is going to move fast. You can get in between these Brooklyn lines if you play your style. But again, just to keep continuing to attack. We knew before the game that they weren't going to sit back. They weren't going to worry about Brooklyn's press as much and be afraid of the moment. Just continue to play that aggressive style of soccer that's gotten them on this streak, and things will be in a good spot for them.
See the rain still pouring down on a 44-degree night. So you'd figure the team that's from Fort Lauderdale, where temperatures are in the mid to high 70s, going on the road to a place like this, against a team like this, frigid, wet conditions. As the flag comes up for offside, much to the chagrin of the Fort Lauderdale bench, Hamid thought she was on. So we've got a final from the DC Spokane match. It's Spokane who comes away with the 3-2 victory. Dangerous, a little lackadaisical there from Fort Lauderdale. Lansborough was trying to just shield off Sheriff and did just enough, and Morche, a couple of times, has been a little hesitant, or not hesitant I shouldn't say, but aggressive off her line.
Yeah, and that's how she plays. You can tell that they're comfortable with their goalkeeper playing that style. Even in possession, she's not afraid to have the ball on her feet outside of the box, and you know, anytime that a team is stepping up like that, the goalkeeper needs to be aggressive and need to be able to play off that line. And in that situation, it paid off for her, because if not, you know, Brooklyn's in there on a breakaway.
Adrian Jordan, first ever player from the Big Sky Conference to be drafted professionally, as Gordon gets it back, sends a cross in. Position is Brooklyn, still bouncing around for Fort Lauderdale, and Gordon just could not put any pace on that shot attempt. It just trickles for Purcell, and Brooklyn escapes that little jam. Out for a throw into Fort Lauderdale. Pluck got a head on it. Jordan. Surveying her options. Rosette's right on top of her. Hamid. 4 goals in 4 consecutive games. Now it's Raji for Jordan. Rosette watching her. Jordan. Low cross out in front. Locklear couldn't put anything on frame. And it's cleared away by Brooklyn.
It's the right ball in that situation. It's a cutback to the top of the box. Squeezes it in between traffic. Unfortunately for Vlado, not able to get a good foot on it to direct it to net. But again, it's using that width for Fort Lauderdale. It is such a weapon. Get the ball out wide, get in these 1v1 situations, and in this case, puts a dangerous cross into the box.
Only goal in this match came in the 32nd minute. Shia Gordon, her second of the year. An assist from Kiara Locklear. Rosette leaves it for George to throw in. Sheriff. Jordan cuts her off nicely. Jordan's had a strong game tonight. McCain one touch. Locklear tried to get it back to her. Brooklyn had that well defended. Pluck with Raji watching her. McCain ushers Pluck to the turf. No card, but a foul given.
Yeah, just a lot of bodies in that one. Feet get tangled up. Earlier in that sequence, you saw something really special from McCain there. Just that little bit of behind the back flick. But again, credit to Fort Lauderdale, or credit to Brooklyn here, able to turn this ball over again in a dangerous spot. As you see here, Pluck just drawing that contact there from McCain. Easy call for the referee. And once again, I sound like a broken record. Another set piece in a dangerous spot for Brooklyn. They can put this ball into the box and create some havoc.
Never know what can happen in these types of conditions. Kroger, such an important part of this team. It's Pluck. Cleared by Fort Lauderdale for the moment. Reset with Kroger. Looked in the direction of Pantuso. Deflected off of Fort Lauderdale over the end line, so it is another corner. Good response, good start to the second half for Brooklyn, Jeff.
Yeah, absolutely. This is 3 or 4 corner kicks that they've had now, and you know, playing very direct, making Fort Lauderdale play on their heels a little bit more than they had in the first half. We talked about what the message was at halftime, and it's about playing aggressive, doing everything you can to get this goal back, playing with no fear.
Service comes in, and it's off the side of the net. There's one thing that they've gotten the opportunities at these corners, but the balls in just have not been what you want if you're Brooklyn.
Yeah, it's a good idea in terms of trying to put it to the near post, try to get some type of flick, but unfortunately the service in doesn't allow that player coming to the near post to use their head and flick that ball into traffic. So right idea there, just wrong execution.
Rosette pops it towards the back post. Good positioning by Fort Lauderdale. Smith tried to clear, gets taken down. Play on. Another physical contact on that touch line, and Brooklyn will have a throw in.
And part of this too, part of what you're seeing here too is Fort Lauderdale is playing very good defensively. You know, we're talking about Brooklyn's attack quite a bit and what they're able to do and not being able to get their chances on goal, but Fort Lauderdale's defense has been up to the task on all of these set pieces, all these through balls, all these different opportunities. So we have to give that backline credit too, especially dealing with that early injury from Vaca. They've settled in nicely in this game.
Yeah, you know, Fort Lauderdale, give them credit. They've allowed 1 or fewer goals in 12 of their 17 matches this season. 4 clean sheets. 4th corner of the second half. And again, Fort Lauderdale with good positioning. Kroger keeps it alive for the moment and then lost it. And Fort Lauderdale has the throw in here.
Good opportunity here for Brooklyn, try to lock them in. Unfortunate the ball didn't bounce there, but that's the right idea. Press on those throw-ins, try to keep the ball in that half, but again, able to regain possession. And this is something that we didn't see in the entire first half from Brooklyn. They've started to find this rhythm.
Too far for George there. This supporters for Brooklyn FC here in Coney Island, they're trying to will this team on and find that equalizer. So far been a frustrating night. Stay up to date with the USL Super League. Sign up for the Super League newsletter. Get news about your favorite team and stories from around the league delivered directly to your inbox weekly. Sign up at uslsuperleague.com/newsletter. Josh Appel, former MLS goalkeeper, Jeff Attinella with you. So glad you could join us on this Saturday night. A rainy one on Coney Island. First match at Menominee Park. Brooklyn keeps that alive. Attempt from distance from Garziano, well wide. Not afraid, though, to take that chance.
That's what I talked about. Shots from distance. Don't be afraid on a night like tonight, especially if you're a player like Garziano and you're searching for this goal. The ball sits up nicely. She's able to hit it with that knuckle. Unfortunately, it just goes a little bit wide, but it's that nice quick touch that sets her up with this opportunity. Not afraid to hit the ball from distance. If that ball's on target, it'll definitely challenge Morshea, but unfortunately, it just goes a bit wide.
On the 32nd minute by Shania Gordon. Nicely done there by Lindahl. Halted that run for the moment. Throw-in coming for Brooklyn. Got through everybody and cleared away by Fort Lauderdale. Pluck. Looking for Rosette. And Morshea falls on it.
All right, I'm going to hit you with a little bit of goalkeeping 101 here. Okay. That's a ball, right? You watch that. It doesn't really look like much. She does a good job with that through ball. But it's all about her starting position. We talked about how she likes to play higher off her line. Look how much she's engaged with the ball. So she has to play higher off her line. When that through ball comes in, there's a lot of goalkeepers that are further back that make that situation a bit more panicked. And you see a good job here by this goalkeeper as well, Purcell. There are a lot of goalkeepers that ball comes in, that's a very good through ball. But because the goalkeeper's starting position is in line with the rest of the team, she's able to make it look easy. So that's something that for goalkeepers, if you're watching this, you know, your starting position and how you're connected to the team is something that's so important because it makes good balls, good through balls look easy for you to come out and get.
Purcell, for the most part tonight, has been on her game.
We talk about it. Morshea, she's 7th on the team in passes. So that just talks about kind of the transition of the goalkeeper position and really how it's evolving. And it's becoming a position where, of course, you have to make saves. You have to keep the ball at the back of the net. But now you're getting involved in your style of play. And when you have a goalkeeper like Morshea who's confident with the ball at feet, it really just unlocks what this Fort Lauderdale team can do. You're not seeing as much as it tonight because Brooklyn's doing a very good job defensively of not letting them find that rhythm with passing the ball. But in games where you can pass the ball and spread yourselves out, that goalkeeper steps in between those center backs. Those center backs can then split, and that unlocks your outside backs to become those wingers where you can overload those wide spaces. And it's really one of the keys to how Fort Lauderdale is able to play the style that they do.
How has the position changed from when you were an active player?
So the position changed a lot as I was continuing to play. You know, when I really first started playing professionally, it was a situation where, I'll let this one go out, see what happens here.
Locklear, watched by George. The cross comes in and it's cleared away by Brooklyn. Rosette.
So when I really started playing the position, you know, especially at a young age, it was kick the ball long, kick the ball accurate. But then as I continued to grow, you know, there's a little bit more emphasis on being directional with your kicking. And, you know, then as I continued to progress as a pro and started to play professionally, that's when the game really started to evolve into, okay, if you're a goalkeeper, you need to be confident with the ball at your feet. That ball that you play to that number 6 that's checking back, that has a person that's on their back that you would have never played 5 years ago, that's a ball now that we want you to play because that's going to unlock something else. And then when the ball comes back to you, it's all about finding that next open pass. So really just the emphasis on the formation and the system in which a team is playing. And if you're comfortable with your goalkeepers stepping up that high and playing with their feet, it just turns you into that first attacker. Whereas before, your real main focus was that last line of defense. But now for goalkeepers, you have to be able to do both. And that's just a credit to the way that the game's evolved and really a credit to these goalkeepers that are able to do it, because it's not what you work on most of the time when you're a goalkeeper.
It's a lot to think about.
It is a lot to think about, but it keeps the game more fun. It keeps you more busy.
So free kick coming here for Fort Lauderdale. We'll relay to you the couple of subs that Brooklyn just made in a moment as Daria Raji stands over it. Dangerous spot for a set piece. She goes for goal and went high. So Salma Amani enters the match for Brooklyn, and Dana Sheriff takes a seat. Emily Yapel comes on to replace Samantha Rosette, who had a very strong first half for Brooklyn. Now a goal kick coming for Nico Purcell.
Yeah, I thought Rosette did a good job in that starting spot tonight. She slotted back into that lineup. I really thought she did a good job of trying to get the ball up and down. She had a couple dangerous crosses into the box, a couple different opportunities, but now it's time to start bringing on some fresh legs, see if we can get a little bit of energy for Brooklyn in this game and give this team a little bit of a jump.
Sama Amani, just her 5th appearance of the season. Yapel making her 14th. Collision, play continues, and Fort Lauderdale on the attack. Looking for Locklear. A little bit too far for her. Pantuso would have cut her off anyways, and Purcell controls for Brooklyn. 1-0 on the goal in the 32nd minute. Shania Gordon from Kiara Locklear. It stood now for over a half an hour into the 66th minute at Menominee Stadium. Menominee Park, excuse me. Jordan. Brooklyn wants to get this thing started back quickly. Find that equalizer. George with the throw in. Gets it right back. Garziano to the outside. The service in. Takes a deflection. Garziano! Big save! Marche, massive stop. Keeps Fort Lauderdale in front, 1-0 for the moment. Amani couldn't make a play on it, and Fort Lauderdale clears. Best chance of the night for Brooklyn, certainly in this second half, and Morshea came up huge. Now it's Locklear behind the defense. Locklear in, Locklear, oh, what a play! Purcell answers. Fort Lauderdale still alive, and Fort Lauderdale has doubled their advantage.
Are you kidding me with that sequence of events? Absolute back-to-back action, back and forth. The ball moving at an incredible rate here from one side of the field to the other. And let's get a look at it here. And it all starts with an incredible save from Morshea. Look how she's able to move her feet and make that save on something that looked like a sure goal. And Purcell says, not today. I'm going to come out, smother that ball. But instead, they're unable to clear it. You have to clear your lines there after a big save. And it's Gordon again in the right spot at the right time, able to make the most of that opportunity. Incredible back and forth action. It starts with the big time save for Morshea, who's able to then get the ball down the field. Purcell steps up, but unfortunately for Brooklyn, they're not able to clear, and Fort Lauderdale pounces on the opportunity.
So Gordon with the brace. She entered tonight's match with just 1 goal in 17 games, and she's got a brace here tonight in this battle for first place as Fort Lauderdale now in firm control. They've doubled their advantage. Shania Gordon does it again, and you feel a bit for Nico Purcell, who did an outstanding job on the initial rush from Locklear, who was 1v1 with her. And the aggressiveness paid off, but a poor clearance results in the second goal. And how often do you see that? Just one of those stretches for Brooklyn where they can't buy a goal. Best chance of the night with their leading goal scorer, had reservations for the back of the net. Opposing keeper, in this case it's Morshea, makes the outstanding stop, which is probably going to be save of the week if you ask me. And down on the other end, it becomes 2-0 in the blink of an eye.
I mean, what an incredible sequence, and that's what it's talking about. Sometimes if you're Brooklyn, if you're a team like Brooklyn who's going through a run like this, sometimes things just are not going your way. In that situation on the goal, if you're Brooklyn, though, you have to clear that ball. It's just a moment of chaos. Be okay with putting your foot on the ball, clearing your lines, and just understanding that you just need to get the ball out of harm's way. But instead, It's a little short pass. It's a turnover that leads to that goal. Purcell's left scrambling. But, I mean, really a ton of credit to Morshea on that save, because if she doesn't make that save, we're looking at a 1-1 game, and it's really that save that started this entire swing.
It's those types of plays that when you're in the rut that Brooklyn is in, they just don't go your way. So now how does Brooklyn, with a little over 20 minutes left in this match, what do they do? What's their mindset?
Yeah, I think that now you're going to start seeing a little bit more offensive subs here soon, trying to get some fresh legs, trying to get some energy to the group. They can really try to impress and make the difference. And the important thing is, whenever you're down by multiple goals, you can only get one goal at a time. You're always chasing that first goal, and then once you get that first goal, then Fort Lauderdale starts to feel a little bit more of the pressure, and you hope that they start dropping back a little bit so you can start dictating the game. But with 20 minutes left, the first objective is make sure you don't go down 3, because 3 would be very, very tough to come back from. 2 is still very doable. So make sure you're still sound defensively. Maybe bring on some fresh legs. Give them a little bit more of a boost so they can get in the attack. But, you know, in about 10 more minutes, you're going to start seeing a Brooklyn team, if this scoreline's holding, that's going to start pressing a little bit more and getting a little bit desperate to try to get that one in the back of the net.
Locklear. Pantuso ushers her to the turf. The foul is given. So another set piece coming for Fort Lauderdale. They lead 2-0 on the backs of the brace by Shania Gordon. The 32nd and the 67th minute. Brooklyn FC's next home match is right around the corner. Scan the QR code to win free tickets to watch Brooklyn take on Dallas Trinity FC this Wednesday, March 19th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A chance at redemption from that 6-0 defeat for Brooklyn in the last match against Dallas. But right now, they've got less than 20 minutes to overcome this 2-0 deficit at home. Good attempt, but right at Purcell from Raji. Amani gave it up, get into the box. Crowd wanted to call for a penalty. They don't get it. Here's George. That deflects off Hamid. Hamid's clearance takes a deflection. Big collision in the area on the shot from Kroger. Just a goal kick.
Yeah, she does a good job. She does a good job getting her foot through it. And again, it's another opportunity in front of goal that Brooklyn is just not able to get it on target. There's been 4 or 5 different opportunities where there's been bouncing balls in the box. And on the flip side, that's how Fort Lauderdale was able to get their first goal. But again, just another sitting ball in the box that they're not able to get on target. And credit Fort Lauderdale's defense for that recovery defending. They're making life difficult for Brooklyn when the ball is on their foot to take those shots.
Locklear with a cheeky touch, but taken by Brooklyn. Locklear gets it off the turnover. Locklear had a player making a run on the outside. I think that was Gordon who wanted the chance at the hat trick, but Locklear either didn't see her or just elected to go with a different option. She might have been better served to lay that out there.
Yeah, it's a lot easier for us to see it on our angle, but that was definitely the ball. Gordon's making that run, and she's been threatening this back line all night. Locklear just not able to get eyes on her, or she opted for the shot, thought it was a better option, but a through ball there, and Gordon would have been in 1v1.
All Brooklyn needs is one to get themselves back in this, but since that opportunity for Jess Garziano about the 65th minute, there has not been much for Brooklyn. Just feels like kind of a demoralized group right now.
Yeah, that second goal was really something. I think their response was great after the first goal. you know, they did a good job of getting themselves back in on the play, really starting to dictate the pace of the game, doing what they wanted to do defensively, turning Fort Lauderdale over, getting those opportunities, getting all those set pieces. But that back and forth sequence where the ball ends up in the back of Brooklyn's net to make this 2-0, you know, it's kind of been telling a little bit of a different story. There's still a lot of fight in this Brooklyn team. There's still a lot of time left, but you know, that was a goal that if you're Brooklyn, you just got to be shaking your head and wondering what is going on that ends up in the back of the net.
McCain, don't want to see her all alone in front, and Addie McCain has number 10, if not 4. The flag going up.
Oh man, it's a great run from Addie McCain. She comes from that number 9 spot, recognizes the hole in the defense, and the only thing better than the run was the through ball, but the timing was just a little bit off from Addie McCain, adding to her Golden Boot lead.
Like something potentially brewing for Brooklyn, but just too far out of the reach. And easily handled by Morshea. Trying to will this Brooklyn team on.
Great bit of skill. What
Pluck.
a turn.
Turns back. Pluck. Put on frame. It was blocked. What defending from Jordan as Grabias tried to turn and fire. Goes out for a goal kick.
And again, we're seeing some back and forth action here in this game. Pluck in that run for Brooklyn, I apologize, does a tremendous job creating space for herself, slips the ball out wide. But for me right now, the story of this game has been Fort Lauderdale's back line and the way that they've been able to put out these different opportunities and weather all of these storms. They've done a great job recovery defense. When Brooklyn's able to find a little bit of space, there's always somebody making a challenge. There's always somebody contesting everything in the air. Nothing has been easy for this Brooklyn team, and a lot of that has to do with the way that Fort Lauderdale's defended tonight.
Looks like someone's getting carded here. And then, Jeff, when they have kind of broken down a bit, and Brooklyn has been able to get a chance, they've gotten the stop from Cassette Morshea.
Yeah, she's been fantastic. And you know, when you talk about a defensive unit, the goalkeeper's included in that. I know that it's our own little island on a position, but you know, the goalkeeper's included in that. You need your goalkeeper when you're playing on the road against the team that's #1 in the standings in their home opener. As a goalkeeper, you know that you're going to have to play big and you're going to have to make saves. She's been up to the task tonight, but the Fort Lauderdale defense has also just been up to every single challenge and everything that's been thrown their way. And anytime that Brooklyn's even had a chance to get a sniff on goal in front of the net, there's a recovery defender putting in all of her effort to make sure that it's not easy.
So you saw the card come out from Irina Petronuk, and it was on Jess Silva, the head coach for Brooklyn FC. On what has been a frustrating night. Frustrating start to the spring season. Hamid goes down. That's a foul. Another set piece coming from a pretty advantageous spot for Fort Lauderdale, already leading 2-0 and trying for more. And they are a little over 10 minutes away from taking over the top spot in USL Super League. Brooklyn has not scored since February 22nd. Back-to-back matches, they've been shut out. And they are 10 minutes away from a third consecutive time being shut out. Hamid takes it, too hot.
And if you're Brooklyn, I've been through these spells before where you're not able to score and the minutes just keep kind of tacking on. We haven't seen the ball hit the back of the net. And this is where the pressure really starts to continue to mount for Brooklyn. And for me, it's really about the fact that they haven't had a lot of clear-cut opportunities. Even the save from Morshea that was on Graziano, that's a shot from distance. You're not getting in behind the back line. So for me, that's more of the problem than the ball actually not hitting the back of the net, is the lack of quality chances that we've seen from a Brooklyn team that's used to scoring these goals.
Of course, as you pointed out, a lot of credit for that goes to Fort Lauderdale and their structure. "10 minutes plus added time is probably feels like an eternity. But for Brooklyn, they need to get going and they need one quick. And on the outside, Smith trying to chase it down, and she's unable to. She was crashing into that right field wall. So a substitution coming for Brooklyn. Grabius will exit. Quiet night for her. And Nakia Smith will enter in her place. Smith playing in just her second match with Brooklyn. There's a player down at the moment for Brooklyn. Happened away from the play.
Yeah, clearly frustrated about something.
I think her argument is that she didn't just fall down and have a little knock to the head on her own.
Something must have happened, but you can tell she's dealing with some discomfort.
Fortunately, saw Leveni Vaca leave in the 6th minute for Fort Lauderdale with a knee injury, what looked like one. Now a player slow to get up for Brooklyn. And this gives both teams a chance at a little breather, a little bit of a reset. What do you think's going on in that huddle right now?
Just talking about staying disciplined and really just continue to play the game that they're playing, staying confident, staying disciplined, and he's not telling them to do anything different than what they've been doing. Their strategy, their tactics coming into this game have been on the money. So really it's just about staying cool, staying composed, making sure that you see this game out the best that you can. Try to keep the scoreline at 2-0. Everybody loves to get a shutout, especially if you're talking about the defensive performance they've had and the goalkeeping. Just stay steady. They've been steady this entire game defensively. Don't change anything about the way that they've been playing.
Got this 2-0 advantage thanks to the brace from Shania Gordon. The first came in the 32nd minute. This blistering blast. And then in the 67th, she got her second. Locklear was in alone. Great play by Purcell, but the failed clearance attempt from Brooklyn ended up right on the foot of Gordon. Got it past the sliding Purcell, who tried to recover. She's got a brace, and right now it stands for Fort Lauderdale. If this score holds, they take away the 3 points. We'll have a new team in first place in USL Super League.
And for me, that the story of this one is Fort Lauderdale's been able to be opportunistic and take advantage of these random chances that present themselves. It's a bouncing ball that's played in, it's bouncing in the box, able to get a foot on it, put it on target, put it in the back of the net. It's a loose ball that doesn't get cleared. Make no mistake about it, the ball gets put into the back of the net. And on the flip side, there's been opportunities where Brooklyn could have taken advantage of these things, that the ball bounces in the box, they get a foot on it, these different opportunities. But that's just the way that things have been going now for Brooklyn. They don't get those opportunistic opportunities the way that they might have been getting in that fall season, and it's something that they can definitely come back from and recover. But if you're on that team, once you see another 0 on that scoreboard, then it kind of gets to that moment where you need to see the ball starting to hit the back of the net.
Substitution for Fort Lauderdale, Felicia Knox, appearing in her 18th match, replaces Taylor Smith. Knox, the all-time leader in assists at the University of Alabama. Sasha Pickard, who's out there right now for Brooklyn, actually played with Felicia Knox for the Crimson Tide. Brooklyn to throw in. desperately need one. And a big push here in the final 6 or so, 7 minutes. The 85th minute. Brooklyn, in these 4 matches to start the spring, has been outscored 9-1 in the 4 matches. 6, of course, coming last week, but either way, 1 goal in 4 matches is not going to get it done, and they are minutes away from a potential 3rd consecutive shutout, and not the side of the shutout you want to be on.
Well, if you're a neutral fan in this situation, this is where the table starts to get a little bit tighter if this result holds. And then you're looking at a situation where 5 through 1 are all extremely tight, where we were looking at fall season where it really looked like Brooklyn was separating themselves in a way that would be hard to catch.
"17 goals allowed all season, 8 in the last 2 matches. It is just been a shocking performance from the best defensive group in the league the last, not so much tonight, but certainly last week.
Yeah, well, you know, when you split the season in half, it's a tale of 2 seasons, and you know, Brooklyn right now, they have some exploring, they have some figuring out to do, because this is a brand new start. This is a brand new part of the year. Teams have made adjustments, they've been able to regroup, they've been able to add players, and right now it's up to Brooklyn to figure out how they're going to respond.
Gordon ushers one in. Hamid went down. Her goal scoring streak is on the line, but more importantly, Fort Lauderdale moments away from extending their unbeaten streak to 8, but they've got to finish here on the road. Jordan, another strong play. Raji plays it towards the middle. Now Hamid. Raji tried to squeeze it through for Knox. George cut it off. And this is a throw-in for Brooklyn. Knox got a touch on it. Stay informed about all things Super League. Visit USLSuperLeague.com for all the latest information, analysis, and insight into the league. Given away, but through Gordon. Now it's Pluck. Pluck with McCain chasing her. McCain grabs that shoulder. No whistle. Now they play the advantage. On the wing it comes down. This is Smith. Her cross was blocked.
I mean, credit Pluck. That's 2 runs now that she's been able to make in the midfield, trying to create something herself.
Smith. Nobody home in black.
Just great individual efforts from Pluck on 2 separate occasions, trying to find that space, not afraid to take players on 1v1, break these lines with her dribbling. But again, to me, the story of this game has been Fort Lauderdale's defense. Anytime it looks like Brooklyn has a sniff, Fort Lauderdale's defense has been able to tighten it up, make sure they don't give them those opportunities, and really just make life difficult for this Brooklyn attack that we're used to seeing scoring goals. Surprised the refs didn't go back and give McCain a yellow on that,
yeah,
that jersey pull.
I mean, it was clear and obvious.
As tactical as they come.
There's a frustrated Jess Silva. And you can certainly understand Brooklyn just searching for answers. But again, all things considered, because of their great start, foul there on Knox, because of their great start, they're still firmly entrenched in a playoff position. But that's not what they're worried about. They're worrying about correcting what ails them right now.
They need to see the ball hit the back of the net. And again, I think that set pieces is a way to do that. I've been preaching it all game. when you get set pieces, this is an incredible way to get on the scoreboard. So dump this ball into the box. It doesn't need to be pretty. It just needs to go into the back of the net.
Kroger puts it in, and a miss hit there from Nakia Smith. Rushed it a little bit, might have been a touch more time.
Yeah, it was a good idea with the layoff. I like the idea, but you know, it's just been that kind of night. Anytime that they have those opportunities, the ball's gone wide, or Morshea, the goalkeeper for Fort Lauderdale, has been able to make a big save.
A couple of substitutions coming for Fort Lauderdale. Tati Fung, Jordan Balcom, who was acquired in a trade with DC Power. Some fresh legs for the finish here. Four minutes of added time, the indication from the fourth official. Again, Tati Fung in for Daria Raji. And Shania Gordon, who had the brace, she exits in favor of Balcom. Brooklyn have a miracle in them. Oh, like a freight train. That was Ali Pantuso who came in. Make that Mackenzie Pluck.
Well, just getting absolutely stuck in on that challenge. But that's been the tempo from this defense all night long. Nothing's going to be easy. You're not going to be able to turn and run into this space. See if Brooklyn can get this opportunity a little bit closer to goal, try to get ahead on it. As we get another look at this foul here. Pluck has been making great runs from the midfield, creating space for herself.
It was Gaynor.
And that's Gaynor. Yeah. Just comes in and absolutely cleans her out.
Cecilia Gaynor picks up the yellow. And Kroger, along with Pluck, getting ready to put this in play. Pluck is pleading with Irina Petronok to add a minute here. And I'm sure that she's certainly taking into account a few extra seconds here that this is taking. Pluck sends it into the area and handled by Morshea. There's not much that Brooklyn could have made a play on that. These opportunities just go by the wayside. They really haven't recovered from that sequence in about the 65th minute. The big save on the shot by Garziano. And then on the other end, immediately after, the second goal from Shania Gordon.
Well, when you go through what you're going through, we'll let this one run out here.
Hamid looking for her 5th match in a row with a goal. Had that shot deflected into the arms of Purcell.
When you go through what you're going through with a team like Brooklyn, not being able to find the back of the net, you have an incredible shot. Goalkeeper makes an incredible save. They come all the way back down to the field. Your goalkeeper makes a great save, and the ball just somehow still ends up in the back of the net. With everything, with the 6-goal game before, with not being able to find a win so far in the spring season, that's just a deflating moment. I think that they've shown good fight in these moments since then. They're still putting their best foot forward, trying to get that 1 goal back, but you know, when things like that start happening to you as a team, it's easy to kind of get that feeling in you that it just might not be our night.
Tampa currently up 1-0 on Carolina, which is a big one to watch for Fort Lauderdale now that, you know, again, barring some kind of miracle, Fort Lauderdale will move into first place with 31 points, as does Brooklyn, but Fort Lauderdale will have the tiebreaker. Carolina 3 points back. Another yellow issued here.
Well, it just gets everything a little bit tighter.
Yeah. Every
time that Brooklyn's dropped a point or a result hasn't gone their way, just keeps continuing to tighten things up. They had a big lead there in the first they had a big lead there coming out of that fall season, but you know, if you don't start the season fast and a team like Fort Lauderdale gets hot, other teams are playing good soccer right now too. That's how the table gets tight, and that's what makes it exciting.
So again, Tampa leading 1-0 over Carolina. Tasha Flint scoring the goal as we just await the final whistle here in Brooklyn. Great night on the road for Fort Lauderdale. Brooklyn obviously hadn't played in any matches in this stadium, but had been 5-1-1 at home this year. And Fort Lauderdale with just a masterful road performance. Shania Gordon's brace currently has them on their way to a massive 3 points and a trip to the top of the USL Super League table. Next week, Fort Lauderdale on the 22nd will take on Spokane for another rematch at Tampa Bay. Should be getting the final whistle any second now. And there it is. The unbeaten streak for Fort Lauderdale is now 8. And there's now a new team atop the table in USL Super League. Fort Lauderdale United comes on the road and blanks Brooklyn FC. 2-0 is your final.
Extends the unbeaten streak to 8, and just an absolutely professional performance from this Fort Lauderdale team. They came in with the mentality that we are going to attack Brooklyn in this moment. They came out of the gates, they were pressing high, they were passing the ball around, keeping that possession, and then talk about taking advantage of their opportunities. A couple loose balls that they were able to put into the back of the net, and then they just rode out the performance. Credit to the defense for stepping up and making life difficult for Brooklyn. Credit to the goalkeeper, and credit to this Fort Lauderdale team for getting this result and putting themselves in a position to be on top of the table.
A massive 3 points for Fort Lauderdale United. They blank Brooklyn FC, 5th clean sheet of the year, 2-0 to the victors. Coach, you got us back here in the studio?
Yeah, you.
Awesome. All right, we're back from break in just a moment.
Okay.
Welcome back to Coney Island, where Fort Lauderdale United takes home a massive 3 points with a 2-0 victory over Brooklyn. And there's a new team atop the USL Super League standings after this one. We're now joined by Fort Lauderdale United FC head coach Tyrone Mears, Josh Appel, Jeff Antonella, and coach. 9th win for you guys this season. Shania Gordon, a brace tonight, a great defensive effort. Overall, what did you like most about your team's performance here tonight?
Yeah, I think we managed the game really well. Obviously, Brooklyn had just come off a tough result at Dallas, so we know there was going to be a reaction from them. We knew there was going to be a reaction from them, and like you say, they're a hard-working team, Brooklyn. You know, they don't concede. They don't concede too many goals. But we knew, obviously, the way we've been playing in our attack.
It looks like you guys are having fun right now, Coach, despite the weather. Not quite Fort Lauderdale weather down there. But just talking to you a little bit about what the clean sheet means to your group. I thought it was an incredible defensive effort from the team, and just really how bought in everybody was to put that type of defensive performance together tonight against a team like Brooklyn.
Yeah, I think it is, and again, defensively we have been pretty good, but we've made a few mistakes where we've been punished, you know, like I say, and that was probably more with us with the ball previously. But like you say, I think Lava coming off, that wasn't too nice to see, so we hope she's going to be okay. But yeah, it's Celia came on, she joined the back four, and I thought they were immense today.
Tyrone Mears, congratulations on the win tonight. Thanks so much for your time, and safe travels back down to Fort Lauderdale.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
So let's take a look now at our game highlights. Fort Lauderdale, essentially a flawless performance here tonight, Jeff, and it all got started here in the 32nd minute with the first of 2 from Shania Gordon. Yeah, they're just making the most of these opportunities. There's a bouncing ball, but I want to credit the effort here from Locklear. She runs in front of this ball to create this moment of absolute chaos that gives Gordon the opportunity to get on the end of this, and look at that strike. All the credit in the world to Gordon. Over the ball, absolutely buries it. Nothing the goalkeeper can do. And this was just the story of the game for Fort Lauderdale. They were opportunistic in their chances. They were strong defensively. As we get a look here, and this was the wild sequence, the big time save, the footwork to be able to make that save from Morshea. And this is after this is where things got absolutely nutty. That ball continues all the way down the field. It's ping-ponging around, and Fort Lauderdale is able to find Locklear on this breakaway. Purcell, the goalkeeper, does a great job coming out, making herself big, but it's this missed clearance here. You got to just clear the ball. And there it is again, opportunistic for Gordon. Opportunistic for Gordon to put it in 2-0. Tyrone Mears thought the play was over. We just saw it on the replay. He thought the play was over as well. Turns his head. Next thing you know, he's picking it out of the back of the net. But it was just that type of night for Brooklyn. They got punished for their mistakes. They didn't make many of them, but they were punished for their mistakes. And Brooklyn did not make the most of their opportunities, and they played a strong game all night defensively. Was Fort Lauderdale. Unfortunately, this one was offsides. Yeah, we
but
thought Addie McCain was going to have her 10th.
But it was a good ball in over the top. Unfortunately for Fort Lauderdale, they won that one. It was offsides, but they didn't need that goal. They were able to ride this out 2-0.
So fantastic performance tonight, and here are the updated standings in USL Super League. A new team sits atop in first place, Fort Lauderdale United, after tonight's victory. They own the tiebreaker over Brooklyn. They've won twice, and so they sit in first place in USL Super League after their dominant 2-0 win away from home. And they spoiled the opener at Menominee Park in Coney Island. Well, that'll do it for us here from rainy Brooklyn. For our producer, Maria Ringo, my broadcast partner, Jeff Antonella. This is Josh Appel saying so long. Have a great rest of your night. We'll talk to you next time.